And I got to ask about the single. It's a blue, it's not a cherry, but
Yes.
can you tell us about the light on the top?
So,
Can we see the interior?
sure.
Welcome to another edition of The Story Behind the Car. We're with Chris, and he's got a Chicago Police Department car. And Chris, can you tell us about your car?
So this is a 1969 Plymouth Fury. This started life as a Fury III, replicated it down to a Fury 1. This is as our cars would have been equipped and appeared in 1969. Engine-wise, this one runs a 318. If you were working for the Chicago Police Department in 1969, answering calls on a beat, you would have had a slant 6. If you were like my grandfather in 1969 and worked in the traffic division, you would have had a big block, depending upon whatever the city decided to purchase that year.
Wow.
So
yeah, that slant 6 was bulletproof.
they just keep running and never stop. It's
Yeah.
actually the longest production police package motor in Chrysler's history.
Is it really?
From when they first came out with it until they discontinued it, it was in police packages available the entire time.
Holy cow. And the 318 is a damn good engine
Yep.
too.
And actually in 1969, the 318 was a no-cost upgrade on police cars and taxi packages based on information I've heard before. So if anybody could correct me on that, if they have the paperwork, I would gladly be corrected on it, just so everything is correct with that.
Yeah,
So-
I get all kinds of comments, so we'll probably have a comment.
Okay.
So I got to ask, you said it was a Fury 3, but then
was.
you changed it to a Fury 1?
We trimmed it down to a Fury 1. So what we did is eliminated a lot of the trim. We changed the tail lights because the Fury 3 had the wider tail lights. We welded them up, narrowed it down to the Fury 1 tail lights. Obviously changed the badging on it.
Yes.
This actually, and I hope I don't make some Mopar guys unhappy out there, she started life as a spring special. So it was yellow with a green alligator skin vinyl top. But when I found the car, in my defense, the top was dry rotted, it was cracked, it was all falling apart. I did save it if anybody wants it for the part number. I do have it out there. But the nature of what it was, because it was a sedan and not a hardtop car, they figured it would be a good candidate to use as a replica for a Chicago police car.
That explains everything, because when you said it was a Fury 3 down to a Fury 1, I was thinking the whole time, I thought it was originally a police car. So it was originally
Yep.
a street car,
Yep.
and you converted it into a police car.
When I was looking, I really wanted to do a 1969 Fury because my grandfather drove them with the Chicago Police Department, and my father did.
Okay.
My grandfather drove them when they were new. My dad drove them a couple years later when they were falling to pieces already.
Yeah, used and abused.
When I was looking, going through the project and whatnot, I found a couple of actual police package Plymouth Furies, but they were of historical significance, and I did not feel that it was appropriate to change them to my department's vehicle. We are so hard on our vehicles, there's usually nothing left, they fall to pieces.
Yeah.
We drive them until they're dead, and then we bring them back to life, and then we drive them until they're dead again, and that has been since the beginning of time, more or less, with us driving cars in the Chicago Police Department.
Yeah. And I got to ask about the single. It's a blue, it's not a cherry, but
Yes.
can you tell us about the light on the top?
So we ran a single light up until about 1971, 1972. After that, we transitioned to the Mars bar that is on the 73 Chevy over here.
Yes.
Prior to the blue light, we were red. So in 1960, we went to the blue light, and the way the law is written in Illinois, it's based on population. Realistically, that only includes us here in the city of Chicago. We still traditionally run all blue. Our motorcycles run blue and red.
Okay.
The reason for that is for doing motorcades with different departments. And our vehicles that work at they also run blue and red. But we have been blue since 1960. This paint job came about in 1960, from 1960 to about 1975. When we first changed, you will see photos of the blue and white cars actually had red lights. And the reason they had red lights was they could not keep up with production to make enough blue domes for the original lights that were on these cars.
Holy cow.
So, and if anybody wants to argue with me, this is a Model 14 beacon ray on the roof. That we did have some 1969s that had Model 17s, but I do have a photo this car was based off of with the Model 14. I know it looks a little older, newer, but we did use these in 1969.
Holy cow. Yeah, you're really drilling down. Can we see the interior?
Sure.
And you said I believe you said in 1960 you went to blue and white. What was it prior to that?
So prior to that, we were black and white,
Okay.
and before that, we were all black.
Okay.
So this is replicated as best I could at the time.
Would it have carpet?
It would have had a rubber floor at the
Yes.
time. Unfortunately, with the weather and how everything has been, I have not had time to put my rubber floor into the car yet.
Yes.
We did not have air conditioning in the city of Chicago at the time. The guys wore wool pants and long sleeve shirts,
Holy cow.
even in the middle of the summer.
Yeah.
The cars were equipped with the Ansel fire extinguisher that's on the floor right there,
Okay.
the Motorola radio that's in there, and the siren that is under the hood in this car. It's a Federal pulsator siren.
Okay.
Other than that, very bare bones, no cages, no anything like that. You had your equipment and you just kind of hit the street and you went out there. If you had to transport somebody, official department policy was you had to call a paddy wagon or a squad roll, was what our term was for it.
Yeah.
And you would have them come and pick the guy up and take him back to the station for you.
Yes.
So, we, I don't know, if you have, actually, we've had people ask us, like the car's number is 7344, that's
Yes.
the actual kind of Chicago inventory number.
Yeah.
The 1212 that is up there, that is the beat number. So this would be the 12th district,
Okay.
10 sector, and 1212. 1212 was a beat that I worked for a very long time when I first got on the police department, so
Okay.
that's why I decided to put that on there. If you see our cars now, they have a black plastic tag that goes onto the light bar on the roof, serves the same purpose. So in theory, what you do is you get your keys, you get your beat tag, you put the beat tag on the car, and you go.
Okay.
So take a look under the hood.
I'd love to, yes.
My apologies, she's a little dirty. This was driven up from the southwest side of Chicago in the snow on Thursday. So this car is a 318, and as I said, if you were in a district in the city of Chicago answering calls, you would have had a slant 6.
Okay.
Traffic guys that worked at our traffic division, they would have had the big blocks covering Lakeshore Drive and the Skyway.
Okay.
So the reason it is painted orange, the amount of research that I did into this, and again, if I'm wrong, somebody please correct me, was that the heavy-duty police motor for the 318 was actually painted orange. Unfortunately, I have yet to find a surviving example of it. We found a Slant 6 original police car. We have found the big blocks, but we have not found a small block car yet to corroborate the stuff that I have seen on paper with the research I've done. I'd love to find one someday.
Yeah.
Like I said, I based it on what I found. So this right here, this is a Federal pulsator P280 siren. This was restored by the late John Dorgan. If anybody has seen old film footage from New York, this is the plain version of the siren that New York mounted on the roof of their cars.
Okay.
And what they would do is this siren sounds a little bit different than your typical one, your typical, I guess, growler type electronic siren. That cone has a flap in it, so as the siren runs, the flap turns and it creates a warbling sound.
Really?
It's very unique. It's very different. Not a lot of places use them. We used them for a long time. We even had these in unmarked cars into the, I believe, into the 1980s.
Okay.
When we had already switched to the electronic sirens. That is quite heavy. It draws a lot of power.
Yeah.
If you decide to be in a parade, you cannot just run on that thing and run it and run it and run it. It will kill the battery. Ask me how I know. It has happened before. It's embarrassing to be out there and not be able to make it through a parade.
Yes. Dims the lights, huh?
So like I said, I've had this for about 13 or 14 years now.
Okay.
This car's been driven to Washington, D.C. once for the National Police Memorial. It's been driven down to Southern Illinois for a couple of car shows down there. It has been to Cleveland for the Cleveland Police Museum show. I have yet to make it to the Toledo show. Guys, I'm trying to make it out there to you. It's also been to Springfield, Illinois about 7 or 8 times for the Illinois Police Memorial. And we do bring them out for official department events. They'll ask us to bring them out for certain things. Always for our candlelight vigil for the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation. We do bring them out for some of the award ceremonies when we're asked to have them out. This has also been on display, very proud of that, at the Chicago Auto Show at
Okay.
McCormick Place. It has also been on display twice for the International Chiefs of Police Convention when it was here in Chicago. It does get driven.
Yeah.
Drove this, like I said, all the way up from the southwest side of Chicago in the snow on Thursday to get us up in here. My first time attending the show. The fact that we were invited, I can't believe it. We're very happy to be here, very excited. Trying to keep the history alive so guys can learn about how we have it. It's fun to drive. I can say anybody who is thinking of restoring something like this, know your local laws, how it applies, and you get a lot of questions when you drive it, so you have to be prepared for that when you take it out.
I bet.
It's been fun. I've had it for a long time. My boys love it. Just look forward to keeping it and having it out, and hopefully we'll be invited back next year, and we could have more of our group of guys who have these fine restored police vehicles from all over the U.S. come out and show people a little bit different angle of the automotive hobby.
So I go to the Route 66 show in Springfield, Illinois every year.
Okay.
I didn't go this past year. It's in October.
Yep.
And I see police cars there. Have you ever done?
There's a couple of guys down there that own them. I have wanted to make it to that show many times.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, work kind of gets in the way sometimes. This has been to the Secretary of... No, I take that back. It was supposed to go to the Secretary of State car show, and it didn't want to cooperate with me that day.
Yeah.
It's actually been used. It's been used in 2 TV commercials that never aired.
Yeah.
It's being used currently. I don't know if it has been come out yet for a tourism video for Navy Pier.
Okay.
Hopefully that'll be coming out a little bit later. Unfortunately, I can't share any footage of that because we're not allowed to use it yet.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have any questions for me about it?
No. Well, the only other question is about the light.
So this is just your typical run-of-the-mill 6-inch Unity spotlight.
Okay.
We in Chicago have run the 6-inch light forever.
Okay.
At some point we had, all of our cars now currently have 2 spotlights on them. We went for a long period where we only had 1. It's just, Unity still makes these to this day. They're a very friendly company if you want to find something for your car.
Yeah.
Where you can get the brackets. She's a little loose right now because it's been sitting in the garage. Unfortunately, the battery's disconnected. We're sitting in the building. It won't turn on. But
yeah.
There's a trick to using these. It's one of those when you're brand new and you go to start using it, it's very foreign, but as soon as you start using it a couple of times, it becomes like a second sense to you.
Yes.
So, but they're pretty easy to use. Some guys ask us about this constantly. The rain gutters.
Yes.
As cheap as the contract was, buying the cars, slant 6s and whatnot, for whatever reason, I don't know the year it started, we added these rain gutters forever and a day, even onto the 77, 78, 79 Impalas. It was sometime right after that where we stopped having them on there, but a lot of the Chicago restorations you'll see will have them on there, and that's because we did have them. For whatever reason, they just decided to have them. This car, I do not have it mounted in here. This car, in 1969, we still had shotguns in the cars.
Okay.
At some point, they were moved from the front seat to the trunk. I don't know the exact transition for it. I know, talking to some of the retired guys, it depends on the model of the car, when the move was made. They're just, they, at this time when the guys were working, they would have still had the blue pants with the white stripe on the side, which lasted for a while. Revolvers, wooden batons, long sleeve shirts, wool pants. Like I said, it was a different time, different era.
Yes.
No AM/FM radio, unless you decided to bring one with you and rubber band it to the visor, so you had something to listen to while you were working. And even at the time, and I may be wrong on this, a lot of our guys still worked by themselves, even at night.
Okay.
Which is something now is frowned upon. We still had, in 1969, a lot of 3-wheel motorcycles.
Okay.
We had, the city of Chicago had hundreds of them. And we also, we used kind of the big 3. The city used just about everybody. We used Mopar, we used Chevy, and we used Ford.
Okay.
And every year it depended on the contract, how they used it. 1969 for Mopar was our last year for Plymouth. So from 1960 to 1969, if we had Mopars, we had Plymouths. After that, we transitioned to Dodge until 1977. If we had any products, we had the Polara until the Polara was gone, and then we had the Monaco and the Royal Monaco. And then into the late 70s, we did get a few Aspens. We didn't use many of them. They are out there. There are photos of them, but no real. We didn't really use Diplomats or the later Grand Furies like that. So it's kind of would get in your keys, and you would go and wherever your calls would take you for the day.
Yeah. Well, Chris, thank you so much. You've given us way more information than I ever thought.
No problem. I hope I didn't bore anybody with it.
No, I think it was wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much.